Emotional damage does not just break trust in a person. It breaks trust in your own judgment, feelings, and reality. When trust is damaged, the brain goes into protection mode. You want connection, but you fear being hurt again. This inner conflict is not weakness. It is psychology. Rebuilding trust is not about forgetting the pain. It is about retraining the brain to feel safe again. Let us understand how trust is rebuilt psychologically, step by step. Stage 1: Emotional safety before emotional closeness. Psychology behind it. According to attachment theory, John Bowlby, trust begins with felt safety, not words or promises. After emotional damage, the brain's threat system, amygdala, becomes overactive. It scans for danger, tone changes, silence, and inconsistencies. If emotional safety is missing, trust cannot grow. What this means? Before reconnecting emotionally, the nervous system must calm down. Apologies alone do not work because the brain needs consistent non-threatening behavior. Example: if someone hurt you emotionally, and now they demand closeness immediately, your anxiety increases. But if they respect your pace, avoid pressure, and stay emotionally predictable, your brain slowly lowers its defense. Key psychological insight. Trust is rebuilt when the nervous system feels regulated, not when logic is convinced. Reference: Bowlby, J. 1988. A Secure Base, Parent-Child Attachment and Healthy Human Development. Stage 2: Consistency over explanation. Psychology behind it. The brain trusts patterns, not promises. Research in behavioral psychology shows that consistent behavior creates neural predictability, which restores trust pathways in the brain. Explanations activate logic. Consistency rewires emotional memory. What this means? After emotional damage, too many explanations can feel manipulative or defensive. What heals is small, repeated, reliable actions. Example: saying, "I will not hurt you again," does not rebuild trust. Showing up emotionally, respecting boundaries, and being reliable over time does. Key psychological insight. Trust returns when actions become boringly consistent. Reference: Kahneman, D. 2011. Thinking, Fast and Slow. Stage 3: Validation without self-defense. Psychology behind it. Emotional damage often includes emotional invalidation, where feelings were ignored, minimized, or denied. According to emotional validation research, healing begins when pain is acknowledged without justification. Defensiveness triggers threat responses. Validation triggers emotional repair. What this means? Trust rebuilds when one person can say, "I understand why this hurt you," without adding excuses. Example: instead of saying, "I hurt you, but you also did this," say, "What I did caused pain. That pain matters." Key psychological insight. Validation repairs emotional reality, which is the foundation of trust. Reference: Linehan, M. 1993. Cognitive Behavioral Treatment of Borderline Personality Disorder. Stage 4: Transparency creates predictability. Psychology behind it. After emotional damage, the brain fears hidden intentions. Transparency reduces uncertainty, which lowers anxiety and rebuilds trust circuits. Studies in relationship psychology show that openness restores perceived control, which reduces fear. What this means? Sharing thoughts, intentions, and decisions openly helps the injured person feel included rather than excluded. Example: saying where you are, what you feel, and what you plan removes guessing. Guessing fuels anxiety. Clarity builds calm. Key psychological insight. Trust grows where there are no emotional blind spots. Reference: Gottman, J. 1999. The 7 Principles for Making Marriage Work. Stage 5: Time plus choice equals real trust. Psychology behind it. Trust cannot be forced. The brain needs time to update emotional memory and choice to feel empowered again. When someone feels trapped into trusting, the trauma deepens. When trust is chosen freely, it heals. What this means? The person who was hurt must feel that trusting again is their decision, not an obligation. Example: pressure like, "You should be over this by now," destroys trust. Patience that says, "Take your time," rebuilds it. Key psychological insight. Trust is not rebuilt by urgency. It is rebuilt by emotional freedom. Reference: Van der Kolk, B. 2014. The Body Keeps the Score. Rebuilding trust after emotional damage is not about going back to who you were. It is about becoming emotionally wiser. Trust rebuilt slowly becomes stronger than trust that was never tested. If you are healing, be patient with yourself. If you hurt someone, be consistent, not convincing. Because real trust is not spoken. It is felt. Mistakes that destroy trust while trying to rebuild it. Many people think trust fails because of the original emotional damage. In reality, trust fails again because of mistakes made during the healing phase. Let us understand the psychological mistakes that silently destroy trust even when intentions are good. Mistake 1: rushing the healing process. Psychology behind it. After emotional damage, the brain enters a trauma response state. According to trauma psychology, emotional memory heals slower than logical understanding. When healing is rushed, the brain interprets urgency as danger. What this looks like: statements like, "Why are you still stuck on this? You should have moved on by now. I already said sorry." Psychological impact. This activates the amygdala again, reinforcing fear and emotional shutdown. Key insight: trust cannot be rushed because the nervous system does not follow deadlines. Reference: Van der Kolk, B., 2014. The body keeps the score. Mistake 2: defending yourself instead of validating pain. Psychology behind it. Defensiveness blocks emotional repair. Research shows that validation calms emotional centers, while justification activates conflict circuits. What this looks like: I hurt you, but you misunderstood. I did that because you made me feel. I am not the bad person here. Psychological impact. The injured person feels unseen, unheard, and emotionally unsafe. Key insight: trust grows when pain is acknowledged without explanation. Reference: Linehan, M., 1993. Cognitive Behavioral Treatment of Borderline Personality Disorder. Mistake 3: inconsistent behavior after promises. Psychology behind it. The brain rebuilds trust through pattern recognition. Inconsistency confuses the brain and increases hypervigilance. What this looks like: being caring one day, distant the next. Respecting boundaries sometimes, ignoring them later. Changing behavior only when confronted. Psychological impact. This creates emotional instability and reinforces fear. Key insight: consistency is more important than intensity. Reference: Kahneman, D., 2011. Thinking, Fast and Slow. Mistake 4: expecting trust instead of earning it. Psychology behind it. Trust is not restored by entitlement. Expectation creates pressure, and pressure triggers resistance. What this looks like: you should trust me again. If you love me, you would move on. I have changed, so trust me. Psychological impact. The injured person feels emotionally forced, not emotionally safe. Key insight: trust is earned through time and choice, not demanded through logic. Reference: Bowlby, J., 1988. A secure base. Mistake 5: minimizing the emotional damage. Psychology behind it. Minimization invalidates emotional reality. When pain is minimized, the brain perceives emotional neglect again. What this looks like: it was not that serious. You are overreacting. Others go through worse. Psychological impact. This reopens emotional wounds and destroys progress. Key insight: pain does not need comparison. It needs acknowledgement. Reference: Rogers, C., 1961. On Becoming a Person. Mistake 6: using guilt to speed up trust. Psychology behind it. Guilt is a manipulation-based emotion. When used during healing, it creates emotional obligation instead of safety. What this looks like: I am suffering too, why don't you see that? I have done everything, what more do you want? You are hurting me by not trusting. Psychological impact. This replaces healing with emotional pressure. Key insight: trust built on guilt collapses later. Reference: Forward, S., 1997. Emotional blackmail. Mistake 7: ignoring boundaries after apology. Psychology behind it. Boundaries help regulate the nervous system. Violating them reactivates trauma responses. What this looks like: forcing conversations. Demanding emotional access. Disrespecting emotional space. Psychological impact. The person feels controlled instead of protected. Key insight: boundaries are not punishment. They are protection. Reference: Cloud, H., Townsend, J., 1992. Boundaries. Mistake 8: expecting the relationship to go back to normal. Psychology behind it. After emotional damage, the relationship enters a new psychological phase. Trying to restore the old dynamic denies growth. What this looks like: why can't things be like before? I want us back to normal. Psychological impact. This invalidates the healing journey and creates frustration. Key insight: healing creates a new version of connection, not the old one. Reference: Gottman, J., 1999. The 7 Principles for Making Marriage Work. Mistake 9: healing only when it benefits you. Psychology behind it. Selective effort breaks trust. The brain detects authenticity through long-term behavior, not temporary change. What this looks like: being patient only when watched. Changing only to avoid consequences. Reverting back once comfort returns. Psychological impact. This creates deeper mistrust than before. Key insight. Real change continues even when no one is watching. Reference. Baumeister, R. 2002. Ego depletion and self-regulation. Mistake 10. Forgetting that trust is emotional, not logical psychology behind it. Trust lives in emotional memory, not rational argument. Logic convinces the mind, but emotions decide safety. What this looks like. Listing reasons why they should trust. Explaining intentions repeatedly. Arguing facts instead of feelings. Psychological impact. Emotional needs remain unmet. Key insight. You cannot argue someone into feeling safe. Reference. Ledoux, J. 1996. The Emotional Brain. Rebuilding trust is not about proving you are right. It is about proving you are safe. The moment healing feels pressured, defended, or controlled, trust begins to break again. True rebuilding happens when patience replaces urgency, validation replaces defense, and consistency replaces promises. Subscribe to Master Mindology for psychology-based relationship awareness, motivation, and mental strength.